Hello, I'm here. We do some different stuff today. I'm waiting for people to come on. You know how this goes. And we'll see what happens. I put out a notice. I know I got 5 good questions I'm going to answer. I'm going to talk about a couple things, issues that have kind of come up for me. I'll put these things out in the middle of the screen on the other screen so it makes more sense. Anyway, we have anybody? Nobody's here yet. Faye's here. Gina's here. Stephanie's here. Carolyn Marquise is here. Karen Johnson. Anna Banana. Yay! Juno, thank you for showing up. Right now it's not recording that you're viewing me, but I guess you are since you're talking to me. This is kind of an interesting day, and I'll start out the day with this. This is, if my husband had lived, he'd be 90 years old today. And last night I spent about an hour and a half with the son from that marriage, and we talked about his dad. And one of the things I really regret don't regret it, I understand exactly where I was at the time, but Bill was a theoretical mathematician and a physicist. And he kept trying to tell me in the last few years he lived to be 72. Hi, Skywalking. And Arlene, Fiona, and I'm seeing some new names. Thank you. Thank you for showing up. Bill was a theoretical mathematician and a physicist, and he was a person who practiced physics in the world. He worked on the architecture of microchips, which are what run everything. And like I said, he'd be 90 now, so he was part of that generation that did that. He also developed the epoxy that keeps microchips safe from solar winds. And when he was dying, I said, "Is there anything you regret in your life?" And he said, "Yeah, I shouldn't have invented that damn epoxy. I hate cell phones." He really hated cell phones. But, good, you finished cleaning your kitchen. When you can come to Texas and do mine. Anyway, we had time talking about Bill, and it's nice to have gotten to a point with that part of my life that I can look at it. But the thing I do regret is he kept trying to explain to me about quantum mechanics and how quantum mechanics is where his world and my world met. And I was just, this is how we change, folks. I was just so, really, I'm not discussing physics. It's one class I withdrew from in high school because I had no idea. I didn't care. If I didn't want to know if I needed to build a bridge for a truck to go across, how to measure out the pressure on the pylons, I'm going to let somebody else build the bridge. I'm not going to do that. But that's Newtonian physics. He was talking about quantum mechanics, which is really important about what's going on around us. So anyway, usually on this day, it was kind of a down day for Patrick and I, and we both realized that it's not that where we would have loved to have had him. I'm sure he would have loved to have stayed here for 90 years, but it was time to go, and he's on the other side, and I can feel him around me sometimes. And so I'm kind of feeling really good today. What's going on in my life other than talking about dead husbands? Jeffrey Ripecolor of Ripecolor and I are doing daily readings, and they post on my channel, and I've got it in the chat below. They post at 9 p.m. the night before the day. So in other words, last night, December 2nd, went up, and you can see, and he reads cards, and I read in the garden. And I got a shocking phone call today. I got a shocking phone call from another reader who said someone was talking with her, and she said, was looking for a good card reader. And she said, "Oh, Nancy Jean, she's read my card. She does a really good job." She goes, "Oh, she didn't read cards. All she reads is that garden." Folks, I've been reading cards since I was 12. So this whole show today, all the questions I got are going to be based on the garden or the pendulum, which is what I used to read from. But I got a new deck, and it's absolutely fascinating. It's called The Secret of Color by Anna Segal. And I pulled a card before we started today, and I pulled lavender, which happens to be one of my favorite flowers. And instead of crystal of the day, we're going to talk about plants of the day today. Lavender is a subtle color that sharpens our intuitive abilities, brings out our leadership qualities, strengthens our connections, and matches my hair. And you feel whole when you feel whole, and you need to experience the connection between all your parts. And this is really important. This is what's happening around us this month. I was so glad to pull this because we are, this month, the astrology is pulling us into a balance of our body, mind, and spirit, and it's where it's all kind of coming together. And I really can't tell you how exciting really this time to live in is. It's not just that the planets are in a different place than they've been, but our whole solar system and a big chunk of the galaxy we're a part of, we have gone into, and it started over a year ago, gone into an area where we don't have a lot of the shields we've had for subatomic particles. And that effect, that light, we are now getting more light in us and on us and around us. And it's really enlightening and changing us on the insides as well as, and the planets, if you watch astrologers, they're foretelling this is coming. But body, mind, and spirit is where it is. And I just am so delighted with this deck. It's a lot of fun. If you want to just have an oracle deck to pull from, it's one I would say I found, and I'm just really excited about using it, learning it, and dealing with it. So lavender is our card today. And now I want to get to the questions people asked. One of them, I'm going to use the Dowsing Chart. Now this Dowsing Chart is, the form on it ought to look familiar. It's my garden. Shay took it, and he took a map we found of a sort of a traditional way to program and learn dowsing, and he put it on my garden. And this way's yes, this way's no. And I got a question from someone about her husband's recently had surgery that, hold for a second, my pendulum decided to escape. Her husband got surgery for after a heart attack. I don't know if it was after a heart attack or they saw the heart attack coming, but what she wanted to know is are the surgeries and the plans and the treatments going to go okay for her husband? So when you dowse, the first thing you do is, do I have permission to dowse? And it's going yes. Okay? And then it goes, am I aligned with my higher self while I'm dowsing? And it's going yes. Now, if you see it, it doesn't go wildly yes. Sometimes it does, but not often. And it goes, now, am I fully protected? And this is really a 3 questions you should ask yourself, whether you're dowsing, whether you're reading cards, or whatever you're doing. So now I'm going to ask, am I fully protected? So in other words, the energy that's flowing from me through the earth and from the sky is, I'm protected from anything that would be negative. Now, her question is the health regimen that the doctors are doing, the surgery and the medications, are they going to be successful? And yeah, it went immediately into yes. Immediately into yes. So for AL, who asked about her husband's surgery, yes, it's going to be successful, and he's going to recover. Now, what I did get when I thought about this, when I was writing the question down in my question book, what I found was there's going to be some starts and stops. Don't get discouraged. A lot of times when they're messing with your heart, they're also messing with that second brain that we have on our heart, and so he needs to be aware of that. And but he's going to be fine. Okay, and LN wants to know what's going on around her for the next 3 months. So I'm going to do, when I do a 3-month reading, this is what it looks like. Look at the bigger screen. I love the sound of card shuffling. I know some people it makes them crazy, but I like it. Okay, that's a good shuffle. LN's next 3 months. Still figuring it out, girl. Okay, well, she got a great card as one of her out cards. She got the Ten of Cups. I read that right side up even when it's reversed. It just means it's the same thing. But this is her life right now. And what's going on around her right now is she's feeling drained. She's feeling like I ought to be doing this, but her problem is putting the puzzle pieces together to make this thing she's working on go. It's because for a long time she avoided making the changes and going in the direction she felt she needed to go in. Right now she's feeling like, I don't know, I actually know who this person is. She set up a YouTube channel. She's learning YouTube channels. Trust me, you're going to feel like you're standing on your head for quite a while. But this shows that it's going to finally come together, and you're going to not feel like every time you have to deal with being on YouTube or dealing with a show or the technical stuff, you'll be able to say, I'm past it. I'm past it. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. This is good because you finally have quit having your head and your heart fight. You're going body, mind, and spirit. You're walking away from your fears and the problems you had, some of the problems you had in the past where you'd go, oh, I can't do that. Me? Oh, no. Well, oh, yes. I don't know who this person is. I have a funny feeling I don't know her life well enough to know this. Okay, you had a male figure in your life that blocked you from using your intuitive skills, and you need to, when his voice shows up when you get in these times of doubt, say thank you for sharing and move on, because that's the only way you're going to do it. And you're going to feel a little bit like you're standing on your head, but you are speaking your truth. And she is the Queen of Swords. She's very insightful. She's very good with words. Anyway, so I think your next 3 months are going to be, I think you're aware of it. I think you're armed to know what to do. You're going to be able to walk away from the anxieties and get to the point where you're feeling like this, like I'm in my community, I'm doing what I should be doing. So that was LN's question of what's going on around me for the next 3 months. That's a kind of reading I do for people. I'm going to do SG's, wants to know if she's going to get to her own place. I'm going to do a simple yes-no. And try to help her with that. In case you wonder, why do I tap the cards? I tap them to tap out any energy from reading before. It's a habit I developed when I used to read at table, and I'd be reading a lot of different people. You, lady, yeah, you're going to get there. You're going to have a younger friend who's going to show you, talk about it. And you're going to have the money to do it. You have the Queen of Pentacles here. Right now, you've got this card right side up, and that means you're still working out exactly where you want to move to. But I would say overall, this is saying yes, because the only two no's are here in the back. This is saying yes, you're going to have a younger friend take you to the place, and you're going to be able to afford it. It looks pretty good. I'm the only one. Think about this one. If you're living with family now, it's time to get away from that emotional link, because some of the strings they're using to tie you to them that's what's holding you back from moving on. Okay. I don't know how good that is, because I'm used to talking with people when I read from. It's one reason why I don't read cards very much like this. Now, oh, okay, we got a crystal question, which has nothing to do with what's going on over here. Their crystal question is, whether, if you have a problem, should you go like research crystals and say what helps for that, or should you go back into your own crystal collection and find one that you feel aligned with in that situation? Thank you for the happy anniversaries. Oh, please go like, yes, put thumbs up, guys. Thumbs up, please. For some reason, YouTube went in and wiped off 40 of my subscriptions in 2 weeks. And when we went in and looked at it, a couple of them were not real sites. They were people who were following me that don't really exist. But we don't know about the other ones. And tech support's on it. He's been talking to them. And they're like, oh, we don't know. I mean, and he said, can you show me? There's a way they can show when someone unsubscribes, and they couldn't come up with proper non-subscription figures. So Tech support's working on it. He does have another job other than taking care of my channel, but we're doing it. So please like, subscribe, share. Please let everyone know. And I've done it again. I've wandered away from a question. I will answer this question, then I will let you know what you need to let people know. What specific crystal should you choose for something? Yes, you can go research. You can type in crystals for and type it in if you feel like you really need to find a rock. But any stone can be programmed, and I brought this one in. This is a kind of an agate stone. It looks like I could have pulled it from my alley, but it actually has characteristics that shows that it's an agate stone. But even this stone could be programmed to do what you wanted to do. Now, there are stones that will just make us feel better. Sometimes if we're looking for something to heal our heart, if we get a color of a stone that's shaped in a heart, then we feel better about it. But your intention matters, and I don't know if you guys watch Harris, and I just blanked on his first name. He does a thing every month, and he discusses, and I watched his show yesterday. I watched his presentation for what his guides were telling him for the month of December. And he was talking about how in the last year he's constantly gotten the message from his guides that we are becoming more aligned with the crystalline part of this planet. And that has something to do with the photons and subatomic particles. And like I said, I didn't like physics then. I'm not going to play like I like it now. But I can feel that energy. And so you can really use any stone to tie into the crystalline energy. If you go in a store and you're drawn to a stone, go for it. I was talking to someone who I suggested she get some tourmaline. She said, oh, I have a beautiful piece of tourmaline. She said, actually, it's two. Lee Harris, thank you. God. Lee Harris, and he's the one who does the monthly presentations. And this one was extremely good. And the other thing is he's going to do, and I get no money from this guy, but I'm interested in seeing what he does with it. He's doing a special show on the day of the solstice that if you go and you tie in, you can come on and you can see his solstice, and his guides are supposed to be coming. He talks to, I don't know if they're spirit guides. I don't know if they're aliens. I don't know what they are. They talk weird. I mean, you can follow their language, but they go to a lot of those sorts of noises. But they're called the Z's, and it's really interesting to watch him talk about it. And he's going to be channeling in the Z's. He's going to be channeling in on that great day of shift for us. So, yes, let's all go look at Lee Harris. If you're looking for a crystal, if you've got ones in your house, you can hold them in your receiving hand and think about what you want them to do for you. If it says no, I'm not, you'll feel if it's humming. If it's not humming, then put it down and keep going, or go to a crystal shop and buy a small crystal. So that's all my questions I got. Next 3 months, specific crystals, husband's heart surgery, and getting into her own place. Now, today I rolled over and I got up late, and but I caught most of Sheila's live she did today. And this is honest to God the truth. What I had planned to talk about today was my awakening from traditional Christian religion and kind of the path I went through with that, which was a little bit weird, to now, because if you listen, there's kind of a murmur among the readers. There's a subtext. What we are becoming is our own self, our own spirit. We are not going to be bogged down by the dogma, which is my way or the highway, leadership down the thinking anymore. And I've never done that well. And Sheila was talking about why are people walking away from the church. And they've been doing it for a while. But my background in theology is my first husband was a theologian. He was actually a Methodist minister for a period of time. And so I had a broader background in theology by being married to him, just by being exposed to it. When you go to church 3 times on a Sunday and listen to the same sermon for 3 times, You sit there with your little Bible flaking through, trying to find anything to avoid sitting in that pew one more time. But when I was a child, I was raised in the Presbyterian Church. That's where I was baptized. It was my father's faith. He was Scots-Irish, and he carried in the Calvinism from John Knox. But Calvinists have this weird belief system that, and if you're a Calvinist, I'm sorry, but I think it's weird. They used to talk about a thing called predeterminism, which meant that they used to believe that there was 144,000 people who were elected, and they were God's chosen, and they were going to go to heaven. And, for the life of me, I couldn't figure out, well, what the hell are the rest of the millions of us on this world doing, And so the minister was going on about predeterminism once, and I just kind of said, I have a real hard time following that. Well, then later, he and I had a discussion in his office, and he basically said, I'm one of the elected, and I know who are the elected. And I felt like, am I going back to the Puritans or what? And he said, and I know you're not one of the elected, but we're going to try and pray for your soul, so whatever happens to it when you die, it'll be cared for. And I looked at him, and I stood up, and I was like 11 or 12 years old. I said, don't bother. I'll take care of my own soul. And I walked out, and I lived walking distance from church. So I walked home, and at dinner, I told my parents that I really wasn't going back in that building again, because this guy just told me I had no way to get to heaven, and if he's a pastor and he's supposed to be helping people with that, what the F's going on? And I didn't say F because you didn't in the 1950s. But then my mom said, well, you can come. My mom was sort of burnt on the church anyway. So she said, why don't we go to my church? So I went. That's when I started going between the Episcopal Church and occasionally going back in the Presbyterian Church. Mostly I went back because it was a place that had an interesting group of teenagers, and they weren't telling me I was going to hell. So trying to lead me there maybe, but not saying I was going there. So I eventually became an Episcopalian after being a Methodist, because when your husband runs a church, you should kind of be in that church. And so I kind of went from this dogma-bound church to a church where the way you express your individual spirit is you read from the Book of Common Prayer. Everybody reads the same things. You stand up, you sit down, you do everything the same way. But there's a certain amount of comfort for me in parts of my life with that kind of steadiness every Sunday. And there was a period of my life when I was in my high-risk pregnancy that the church I belonged to here in Dallas helped me stay together. And it was a wonderful community, but it was not based on dogma. It was based on service. And even my priest even let me teach the Christian symbols in the Tarot for a Sunday school class, which was kind of fun. But then I kind of wandered away from there too. And what I keep hearing the readers say over and over again, so this is not my original thought, but it is that we are becoming what I kind of sense looking back at my life I always was a very independent soul who kind of didn't believe all their BS. But when I came into the spiritual community, I ran into what I thought was the same BS. And it was when I started studying astrology, they said, oh, your whole life is mapped out in your astrologic chart. And I went, no, I got rid of this when I was 12. No, God didn't tell me what to do. Well, it ends up my free will and my spirit and the soul fragment I am as part of all of the humanity and all of the beings beyond. I chose this path. And I've now studied enough astrology that I don't think that's complete BS, but it still does chill me. And I have to keep remembering the name of the game that we're all playing is free will. And right now we are in the middle of really, really having a lot of influences from the photonic energy to the enlightenment to the having to be isolated in order to move forward. That's what COVID was kind of about, to going through all the changes that we're going through. And so I really can't tell you how much I love this community and that you've taught me so many things. And don't worry. Yeah, Dorothy's telling me, Dorothy Morgan, astrologer, who's when I really have an astrology question, that's where I go. That's why I would send you, because she does your astrology, and she's been on since 2009, and yeah, they mess with your numbers all the time. So I'm not worried about it. I just want to let you know, please like and share and subscribe if you haven't, because it helps me. And check your subscription, because one of my oldest friends, who was like person number 3 who subscribed to my channel, he went in one day and found out he'd been unsubscribed. And he said, I'm so glad I found it before you did. I don't go looking. I really don't. But we're doing fine. So, because people don't think I'm a card reader, I'm going to read cards. And what I'm going to read cards on right now is to kind of go along with Jeffrey and my daily readings. I'm going to read the month of December in the way I do this. And I'm going to use, this is the deck, if you've never seen it, it's called Luna Soul. I love the images on it. It's a wonderful, wonderful deck. And I'm going to do a 4x4, and I'll explain to you how a 4x4, the way I learned it, works. I have a book here, and I'll get it out one day and we'll go through it. But it's 366 ways to read tarot, and there's one for every day of the year. So, this is the foundation. For the month of December is the Tower. Oh my gosh. Okay. And this is what helps us. This is a message from Tarot. And this is what leads us to the next question. Now, this is just an incredible lineup of cards. It's the Tower. And the Tower leads to the Star. I reviewed the Major Arcana with someone last week and was talking about the Fool's Journey. This card, it all falls down because it's been built on a bad base. And I think that's what we're all seeing. We're seeing a lot of the institutions where we followed the dogma, did what they said to do, and then figured out they could have cared less about who I am as a person. I'll pull a card for you, Walking with Moon, after I've done this. But when you line out the Major Arcana, the card right after, the whole tower's fallen down and you're tumbled there and you're laying in the rubble, and you look up and you see the star. Well, what's my path to the star? The path is speaking my own truth and stripping ourselves back enough to be innocent enough to be a page. We don't always have to be a king. We don't always have to be a queen. We don't always have to be a knight. Sometimes the simplicity of the speaking from the position of the page is enough. The page is where the energy starts. So we're learning new messages, and it's about, and this is what it's about. It's about the hierarchy and what's happening around us. So the star tells me the next 4 cards are going to tell me what we'll be seeing. We're going to learn. Complete change. Okay, this is going to be a hell of a month. You got 2 5s on here. 5s mean change, and in this one, it's false fighting. We're gonna first. It's going to seem like a lot of, oh, everybody does it, and this side does that, and da 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 da. That's going to be the foundation of when we're trying to figure out our goals. But then there's going to be something this month, and I keep seeing this. And if you watch Jeffrey and I, and when we've been doing this month, we keep seeing this extreme change coming. Death just means complete transformation. It doesn't mean dying. It means everything as you knew it before that point has changed. The same way as, like I said, my husband's 90th birthday, when he died, everything else changed. Perspective I looked at from change. And then the next thing is, we're going to freak out. This is going to be our first thing. This is the message from Tarot. Don't do this. Don't go look at the 5 spilt cups and 3 spilt cups and not remember. She's totally focusing in her dream, in that dream bubble, is the 3 spilt cups. And right behind her are 2 full cups. So the transition we're going through, learning to stand, learning to decide what your spirit is and who you are and how you want to place yourself. You will attract in the people you need when you get kind of clear and let go of the fear. And then the next thing is, remember I said we need to open ourselves up. We need to open ourselves up to being innocent about our own values. That means looking at our own values, because Some of the values we carry forward with us are ones we picked up that we really don't want. So how are we going to learn new values in this month? Good. Actually, it's pretty good. The Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups is the one in the most traditional tarot. Rider-Waite, her cup is covered. So she knows what's in there, but she's not really focusing on looking at it. And then you've got the Seven of Wands. And in this case, she's defending herself brilliantly. She's keeping off all of the scary stuff because she's focusing on meditating, creating new ideas, filling each one of those Nine of Cups with another new wonderful idea. And quit worrying about what you might have left behind. I think now is the time for us to just move forward. This is the Seven of Swords. And in the Seven of Swords, you know, he's stolen these. It's sometimes called the card of the thief. But I think a lot of times when it shows up, it means we think we aren't in possession of what we should own. He should take those 6 swords he's got and run and work with them. So how are we going to run and work with them? Okay, one of my favorite cards showed up. Okay, the message on how to work with it: be your own self. And understand your own power. Understand yourself as the magician. You know, in the Major Arcana, the first card's the Fool, the next card's the Magician. So when you walk off that cliff, all of a sudden, you are seeing your higher self and how to work with it. And another way to work with it is just do it. I always think of her as an entrepreneur. Think about how you're going to move forward. That's what you need to do. That's where you need to go. And I love this illustration because she's got kitties on her lap. I don't know if you can see them, but she's got pretty kitties on her lap. And go enjoy yourself. Go be with people that support you and create a new base in wonderful ways because wands are moving forward. But you got 2 4s on here. You've got 4 5s and 7. Okay, this is my favorite card because what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, I got it. I'm leaving things behind. I'm going to become my own powerful self. I'm going to do it in a new way. I've never thought about doing it before. I'm going to do it with happy friends. And then that's when this card shows up. This is the 4 of Coins. And if you look at this guy, he's standing in a hallway. He's got things under his arms and in his hands. We've all been that. Especially if you have little kids, you've all gotten to that point where there's a door ahead of you and you have to open it up. And which kid do you let go of? But in his case, and I don't know if you can see it very plainly, but the key to unlock that door is lying on the floor. So this card I love because what it says is, quit trying to run everything. Quit trying to understand where everything's going to go. Do the right things you can do. And let go of things, because the only way forward at this point in your life is to drop one of those things you've been trying so hard to control and pick up that key and open the door and see where we go. So let's see. I'm going to see where we go. We're moving towards resolution. We're moving towards how to build a better defense for ourselves. We're going to solve our problems, and we're going to go back to being the magician. So if you let go and quit trying to control everything and go with the flow this December, it's a great time to completely reconfigure yourself. So that's my kind of a 4x4 reading. If you've seen me do past life readings, this is the only other thing I use that deck for, is I use it from some kind of monthly things and to do past lives. And yes, I have specific decks that I do specific things with just because it reminds me where I am. And okay, I'm going to pull a card for Walking with Moon for this month. If I pull the card that says technology sucks, she'll understand. We got the right card. Let's see, get this put away. Okay, and I am going to pull from the Power of Surrender cards, which I knew I pulled them out for a reason. If anybody else has a question, we have about another 30 minutes, and I'm kind of done with my part of it. I'm just telling you we're evolving now, and we're evolving in a way that I've understood before. This is pull a surrender card for Walking with Moon. It says you need to surrender to the wisdom of your body. And the message on the card is listen to your body's messages about the person, about persons or situations. If you're feeling physically drained, uncomfortable, be cautious. You will soon become energized and happy and move forward. And that I think is totally on, because I kind of know what's going on around her. She and I are in the same place. She and I have been not about the same stuff, but channeling a lot, and I just hit a wall. I know you know I channeled a whole lot of stuff when I brought in the garden, when I brought in the eggs, and I have extremely good news on the eggs. They've managed to... Okay, I'll do that question for you. I'll do it as yes, no, Juno. But I have been told by my guides, they basically said, sit your butt down and quit doing so much. So, and they actually sort of slowed my world down, so I didn't have much choice in the matter. Yeah, Skywalking, that was I don't think there's a better card in that deck for you. Okay, Juno, should you purchase... Make this the top of the deck because that one fell out. Should you purchase your mobile home? No, because something better is coming towards you. And I do not get, this is a no, yes. But it says something's going to happen and you're going to have your resources in much better shape. Is there something, let me see, before I ask you. Some new person is going to come in your life that's going to make this decision a lot easier. What I was asking was, is there something in that space that makes you uncomfortable, that you don't feel, it's sort of tugging at your soul? So I'd say, not the next 3 months. If I were you, I think I'd wait and see what happens, because you've got some sudden changes that are going to happen, and your judgment's going to be in better space. Okay, Jane the Seeker wants a card. So I'm doing the Power of Surrender, because the woman who developed these cards, she's a psychiatrist, I believe. She's a doctor, I know, medical doctor. And they're just brilliant cards. I have this same deck in my cell phone, and when I do readings with people for distance, the last thing I do is I shuffle. I can shuffle the deck. They can hear it shuffling. When they tell me to stop, then that's their card, and I send it to them so they can carry a bit of their reading with them. Okay, it says surrender frustration. If you've been crying all day, it's probably something's frustrating the crap out of you. And I guess frustration doesn't open any doors. The key to resolving a dilemma or dissolving a block is to take a breath, center yourself, regroup, so that you can approach the situation more calmly. And actually, I almost pulled two for you. Oh, and this one's probably good for you too. And it says surrender negative thinking. You have control over your thoughts. When negative thoughts surface, say thank you for sharing quickly and refocus on the positive. And I say that all the time to people. Don't tie into the negative. Move to the positive. Okay. Yeah, it's uncomfortable when you're in the middle of change. But you know what? When I was in graduate school, I had to pass calculus to get into the master's program, and I hadn't had trigonometry. And you're not supposed to be able to pass calculus if you haven't had trigonometry, but I did. I had a little trig book next to it and figured it out. And I'm not that smart. I hate math. But I mean, there were just times, if my oldest son, who's now 45, if he hadn't been learning how to walk while I was learning calculus, I'm not sure I would have made it. Because I'd get there and I'd take the book and I was really ready to chop it up with one of my butcher knives, and I'd see him struggling to walk, and he'd stand up and he'd have that one glowing inspiration, and then he'd fall back on his butt. And I realized, I didn't know how to walk once, and I'm sure there was a lot more frustrating for me back then to not be able to walk, since I had two older siblings who could. So I would watch Sean, not watch what he struggled with, and I said, man, if I could learn to walk, I can learn this stupid subject. And I did. I passed it, and I got into graduate school, and I do have a master's in business. Okay, Carmela wants a card. Surrender to rest and sleep. Are you not getting enough rest? Or are you pushing yourself too hard or trying to do too many things? To prevent burnout, slow down. Honor your need for your own quiet time, for peaceful sleep, to rejuvenate your body, mind, and spirit. We keep seeing that body, mind, and spirit. And I see Jane the Seeker's written me another note and says, I think you need to take a deep breath, get centered, and dismiss whatever voice is in your head that's telling you to feel horrible emotionally. I don't know enough about your life circumstances to help you more than that. Okay, a new name. Circa South. Okay. Surrender resentments. Holding on to resentments only poisons you. Try to forgive others for their shortcomings and move forward towards positive situations in your life. And I think this is the time of year when we kind of, where we kind of hold, when we do build up resentments, because we go back over the holiday seasons are usually pretty vivid. We either had crappy ones or we had really nice ones. I was blessed with really nice ones, but until they went really crappy, and then they went really crappy. Okay, I've got a bunch of ladies that want cards, and I have got to stop this because I can't. So here's I think this is the one. Stop here. Jen Miranda. I'm going to pull a card for you. Surrender to your full power. I think something's going on around you, and you don't want to take the full responsibility for it, and that's what you need to do. Your life is calling for you to step into your full power rather than playing it small. So whatever you're working on, go for the gold, girl. And Rosario. Rosario, you need to go out and play more. And it goes, take a break from overthinking a goal. Do something fun. Plan time for recreation and rejuvenation. The word recreation comes from to recreate. It's a period of time when our body recreates what we need to do. Let's see. Okay, Flora, what I'd suggest are the community needs to... Flora's daughter, who's 45, is going into a high contrast CT for her heart. So let's surround her with love and light. And if they find anything, it's something that's quickly and easily handled. And does anybody else have a question that I missed up here? I'm reading backwards in the chat. Shifting. I think okay, I'm going to start my own business. It'll be successful. I'm gonna do a thing for Miriam, who is starting a new business. We're gonna do a yes, no, and I'm gonna say the success of Miriam's business as she's planning it right now. You got the sun right side up or upside down is great. Oh yeah. Yeah, and it's really going to separate you from some old fears you've had about running your own thing. Are you going into business with a man? There shows maybe it's someone who's helping you with the financing. And this is the sun which shines the brightest light. You're getting in the boat with the right people. You couldn't be happier with the people. Now, when you first open up, yeah, there's going to be the opening up things that happen, but even that, it's wands, which is good enterprise. And this is upside down like this. This means whatever you've separated yourself from, it's going to be absolutely wonderful. This says it's going to be very successful. The only thing to, don't let yourself get down in the dumps when you have the opening startup nerves and things that go wrong and things we have to watch out for. And I don't know. Let me see if I can see any more. Where'd it go? See if I can see any more about him. If it's a him, it could be you. It could be this is something you've wanted to do for a long time, so your heart and soul is committed to it. Because when the feminine form in our culture goes in and does things in a creative, in an assertive way, we can show up as men in our readings, just like guys can show up as women if they're dealing from their heart. So who is this? This could be you. Oh, okay. Okay. This is the person you learned the lessons from that have made you shy about going into your own business, but don't let visions of him stop you from doing it. And remembering what you learned from him is important, because sometimes our most negative experiences are our greatest lessons in life. You shouldn't say, oh, that was a horrible thing. It's just I've been beat up and it's awful what happened to me. You should thank the universe for allowing you to learn. And trust me, I've had situations where I was laughing about Andrea leaving her job because she was nice. She gave him notice. Man, when I left, when I was getting yelled at and maltreated at a job, I just left him a note. I cleaned my office all up, got everything straight, left a note in the box of my immediate supervisor and then the guy who ran the TV station I was at. And I go, FYI, I quit ASAP. And that was it. That was my whole letter of resignation. They did call me back. They wanted me to come back. And I said, no, you had one chance at this soul, not another. Okay, hugging dogs. Yes, it's hugging your dogs, your cats, critters of whatever kind you got. I have a niece who raises iguanas. Wouldn't be my first choice, but she loves them. But animals are much more innocent than we are, and they don't carry a lot of the other crud that we do. So, yes, they can help us raise our vibrations. So I think that's everybody's questions. Oh, well, Tammy, you're not asking me to read about your breast biopsy. What we'll do is we're all going to send you love and light. I had my first breast biopsy when I was 17. Obviously, it was benign because I'm still here. Because if I'd have had a cancerous one when I was 17, but not now, there's so many things they can do, and go and face it with a positive thing. But most biopsies are benign, and you have to remember that. It's hard to remember when it's in your body. And prayers for Tammy. And Carol Lee, yes, prayers for your daughter. Message from, okay, Carol Lee, a message from your guide. I think I'm going to use the Power of Surrender cards for that. Okay, remember how magical you are. Who you are makes a difference, and the magic you carry in you. And you need to remember it first. We all have magic in us. Even in the mundane aspects of life, remember you're a magical being with uniqueness that's worth time, and that will come out as being who you are. So I think sometimes you get so wrapped up in the mundane and taking care of everybody else, you don't take care of yourself, or you don't acknowledge yourself. Please do. I really can't tell you how much. I think my doggy is sick. Stephanie, do what you can to make the animal comfortable, but I don't know how sick your doggy is. And oh, that's cool. Animals don't have shoulders, so they don't carry shoulds. I don't know why you should be guilty. Animals, to some extent, pick their own path. I know that maybe some of you saw a couple weeks ago I posted that our family dog. Okay. And London died. And London died because London had a neurologic thing that she was a 5.5 pound dog, and there's 5.5 pound dogs don't have very big brains, and so they warned my daughter, and she said, no, I'll just let her go. So she ate, they split a box of Wendy's French fries, which was the dog's favorite, and then they put her to sleep a week and a half ago. And it's been really tough because that was my daughter's child. She had her for 12 years. But she came home and she said, I don't feel bad because I took her in and tried to do everything I could do. So I hope that's not how your story ends up. But if you need to let them go, trust me, the worst readings I've ever done for people, and this is really true, this woman dragged this dog should have been let go. And when I came down to me letting a dog go, I know that happens. Okay. I put a question in earlier. I'm dealing with a lot of... Okay, I've got 3 of them here that I'm looking at. I'm looking at... Do you read auras? No, I don't read auras. May I have a crystal card? Oh, okay. Crystal card. Okay. Wait a minute. Gotta go grab it. Crystal reading cards. Healing Oracle. Okay, what you got? I read this a lot. There's lots in my notes about how to find her. Her name is Rochelle Charman. She's an Australian or New Zealander, I believe. This is for Paisley. Sunstone. Empowerment. The Sunstone means that things are really shifting around you, and you should be feeling a lot of energy pointing towards you. Let's find the Sunstone. Put it there so you can see it. When you pull the Sunstone, it connects with the energy of the divine source of all things, awakens self-empowerment, creating strength and courage, enhances leadership qualities, abilities to listen to your higher guidance, dissolves frustrations in your life, which I think is what you're really looking for in this. It activates the rebirth of your true self, and it facilitates transformation. So you got a great card. Okay, we're going to pull a stone for Vicky too. Oops, I don't want to shuffle. One more time. What do the divas want to tell you about how to change your situation? Oh, soul connection, and it's quartz crystals. And if you see two stones that are melded together, and this really happens naturally, I have this. Those were not stuck together. That's how they are. They're just all connected. So this is your message is soul connection. It works with all of your chakras, and it says, realizing that true union and unity within yourself is all important, creating your personal balance, realizing unity and oneness with self, creating peace and harmony, enhancing communication, and connection to nature and arts. So the way I would read that for you is you're confused and you're exhausted because you're not taking care of yourself or because you're trying to please other people. And you need to pull back and do the things you need to do for yourself first. Okay, let's see, where are we? Okay, okay. Ah, you have one of those. They're very powerful crystals. And Judy would like a crystal card. And the Sunstone was spot on. Good, I'm glad. I find these to be very powerful, accurate cards. And this is for Judy. Ooh, Amazonite, life's purpose. Amazonite is a wonderful stone. It's a very healing stone. When I build grids, I use a lot of Amazonite, especially for people who are suffering from certain levels of anxiety or worry. I built a whole grid of Amazonite to help my daughter, and she got the job she wanted because she quit being all tense. Okay, Amazonite aligns you with your life purposes and encourages you to step onto the path with strength and courage, assists you in finding divine truth in all things. Facilitates deep internal reflection and encourages you to come into alignment with your divine will. We're getting a lot of this today. I think this is a whole lot of this energy that's saying, be who you are, trust your own spirit, do it that way. Because that's what we're getting in the cards, no matter which deck we're reading from. Okay. Oh. Yeah. Andrea, who's in this conversation, she and I have talked personally, and I've done readings with her and things, and she's been on a show. It's true. It isn't easy to always do what you're supposed to do, and Lord knows I don't. And right now I'm having, for those of you who tuned in, because you were going to hear about keto today, I had a flash, and I'm going to do a show on it, and I'm going to do it with another empath who is very good at keto, and she and I are going to discuss the lessons we've learned from it. But as soon as I started discussing keto and trying to help other people do keto, I started gaining weight. I don't know why, but basically my guide said, you can help people and talk about it, but that's not your journey. My journey is to stay in my own field. And I had a lot of people saying, we'd love it if you could discuss. Good, I'm glad that card worked for you, Miriam. Judy. Anyway, I got a real clear flash that when I keep what I do with that part of my body inside myself, I don't have the emotional and this tense reactions. I have more trouble talking about dealing with my own body and some of my own things than I do about talking about anything else. And so it's we want to be truthful. We want to be upfront. We want to help you understand what's going on. Sometimes it means we have to pull back. And basically, I've had another reader who just called me and she said, I had a vision. You need to rest. And so I've been trying to, although I'm still doing individual readings, which are the easiest things in the world to do. If you want to support this channel, sign up to get a reading. And I am doing my year-end special of 12-month readings. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do, because it's the easiest thing in the world for me to do, I'm going to do a 6-month reading starting this month, because supposedly we're setting up a lot of energy that's going to we're going to really understand it by April. Anyway, okay. This is a little bitty 12-month reading. It's only 6 months. And I'm going to start with December because we're only on the 2nd. Okay, we're not going to do that way. We're going to do that this way. Six. It's out here, and I keep flipping them because that's what I normally do. And then I got my little bitty clarifier deck. James, I'll pull a crystal card for you when I'm finished with doing the next 6 months. So remind me if I start to go away, tell me. I'll try to lock on you. I'm not real good. I have to run everything myself. I mean, except for Dear Sweet Sharon Sipe, who shows up. And I'm going to put my combined crystal up there. Okay. Okay, for December, we've got the 5 of Michael. And the 5 of Michael is your situation doesn't serve you, release that attachment and move forward. And that's like the 5 of Swords. And it's like walk away from that battle, get the hell out of it. This month is going to be a big deal because we got Judgment. We've got so much is going to rise up out of the crypts that we didn't know this month. And it's going to make our head spin. We're going to have to learn to deal with it. So January, that leads us to, okay, this is the equivalent of the 5 of Cups if you're used to traditional tarot, but it says everything happens for a reason. Release regret. See, release, let it go, move on, move forward, embrace the opportunities of happiness, search for that silver lining. And if you look at this woman, she's opened all these elegant packages. And then she notices the one that's in Tiffany blue on the dresser. And she's heading for that because apparently these gifts were not enough. And then you got the 9 of Cups. And so this is a month where if you're becoming aware and you're choosing your own path, this would be the month to really put your wishes into overdrive. And then February, 3 of Michael. It's not bad. There's a lot of release in this. 3 of Michaels, that's the 3 of Swords, and that's to release the past. You grow from these situations. Time heals all wounds. And the 3 of Swords in a traditional deck is the one that has the 3 swords going through the heart. And as someone told me once, when your heart gets broken, it gets more room to do other things differently. And this month is also letting go of burdens. So let's March. Oh, okay. Oh, this is wonderful. In March, we're going to see some real awakenings. Those are the chakras, colors in those paint cans. And it says, it's time to make a decision. Be clear about what you want. Take action. And you may need to do a little detoxification if you haven't been making choices. And it's going to mean you've got a lot to decide from. When people draw this card when I'm reading them, I'll ask them, go out in the field and pick up a can of paint and bring it back to me. Because whether you know it or not, you subconsciously know what you need. And depending on what color they bring back to me, we start talking about the actions around that chakra and how that moves forward. And the clarifier, and this is the month of the star. And the star is that overwhelmingly bright, all kinds of new beginnings, finding new goals. There's a lot of newness in that. April. Okay. April is the month as the Fool. That means you can go whichever direction you want to go in. It says, believe in yourself, listen to your heart, do what gives you joy. And that little doggy that's in there, that's exactly what my Sheltie used to look like, Shelly. And the reason is it's going to be a leap of faith as we got another tower. This is the time to break down your foundations and let go of what you thought was security, because the top of that tower is not security. May, woo, oh good. Knight of Ariel, making plans. And there's so much to be accomplished. Make a detailed plan. Be watched over by someone. You're being watched over by someone kind. You see the little angel Ariel that's watching him. And that's May. And it's going to be a time to let go of negative messages, because the Page of Swords he can be a disruptor. When he's reversed like that, it means he's not disrupting. So what's going on for us in the next 6 months? And this was a universal thing. So we've got a lot of letting go. We've got we've got two fives, which are change. So December and January are going to be full of so much change, but a lot of stuff that's going to come to light is going to be enlightening for us. And then we got a lot of major arcana happening here. This can be just as many minor arcana as major, but this time it's major. And it's telling us we're going to be picking new goals. We're going to have to let go of the things we've been rooted to. I think that's very true. This kind of follows with a couple of other year readings I've done that were individuals' lives. There's going to be a lot of coming to terms with and learning how to live with that's going to be going on. Now, James wanted a crystal card. Oh, they're here. They're not in the box. That's why I put them back in the box, because I can't find them. They get scattered all over the place. Crystal for James. Ruby, it's your time to shine. And that's what the ruby's about. And I will read you about when you pull a ruby, pull a ruby. The crystal meaning for you, James, is dissolves the deep trauma and grief within your body and allows you to love yourself and move on to newer challenges. Enhances passion in all areas of your life. Deepens your sensual aspects of self, allowing you to receive the flow of life force and creativity, and helps you to recognize the source of inexorable fear and anxiety. So what this card tells me is that you're going through some transitions. You're going to learn how to shine for yourself. You're going to let go of all the things that have made you feel like you should be dull and hide. I hope that's going on for you, because it's really wonderful. And then okay, let's talk about keto. Good. I hope they helped you with keto, Miriam, because I really think it's a marvelous setup. I think it's a marvelous system. When I do my final sort of closing out show on it, like I said, I spent an hour yesterday with an empath who has worked it and used it to help her with her daughter's cancer and a lot of other things. Yes, ruby zoisite would work. Because it's got ruby in it. Like I said, you could program this stone, if you wanted help. But if you have something that has a ruby in it, yeah, hating other people doesn't help you, doesn't move you forward at all. So we're going to do one last color card because I'm in love with these cards. And then we're going to sign out. I could use a little love and light, guys. I can tell you where. I have residual asthma from having had two very serious bouts of pneumonia. One, I almost died. I mean, it was really a serious bout. So, if y'all could send me a lot of love and light, because it's been a bad allergy season here, and that sort of triggers it off and makes me feel less than well. So, the color for our closeout from the universe for all of us today is yellow. Purify your body. What a fun, fun color. I can take yellow in little bitty bits. I'm not big on yellow in the long haul, but I think it's a gorgeous color. I can't wear it really well. Yellow. Yellow assists in purification, treating diabetes, and clearing out your body. It eases arthritis, releases toxicity, and clears your skin. As a color of intellect and mental stimulation, yellow also helps you think more quickly and clearly, purify your digestive systems. It's also the color of the solar plexus, so it's where things come from. It's where things shine through. So I want to thank everyone who showed up today. Remember, my anniversary show is going to be on Monday. It's going to be at 4 o'clock Central Standard Time. I'll send out a little thing to let you know. And I'm really glad to see all of you are here. I see a lot of new names where people are finally figuring out how to type in the chat. I'm never sure which it is. But there's Kathleen and Vicki and Jane and Cardmancy Mesquite, who I could probably walk to her house from where I live. And Juno and James. And I thank you for sending me all that healing energy. I really appreciate it. And we've gone in a little over an hour, and that's plenty of time for me to talk at this point. Thank you so much for being here. And I appreciate all of your help and support. And remember, I do read cards.